Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
Early retirement is the ideal opportunity to simplify your life and focus on less is more and really identify the things that are important in life. But how on earth did we manage to do that?
So a bit about our background story. We both early retired at the age of 51 from our teaching careers. We sold our house in Cheshire that was the family home for 20 years and downsized to a tiny little cottage in the Yorkshire Dales that we've spent the last year renovating.
And during that time, we've been working really hard to just try and simplify our life and minimize the stuff that's in our life.
So in this video, we wanted to give you a little bit of a thought of what we think minimalism is in our lives.
We want to take you through some of the areas that we minimised our lives during our early retirement.
And maybe you'll go away with some top tips on how you might be able to apply some of the things that we've done in our lives in yours.
So what is minimalism? If you look it up on the internet, it is quite a large movement of people who have a simple philosophy of less is more. So having less stuff in your life so that you actually have more time to value the really important things that are in your life.
And we haven't found minimalisation an easy road. It's something that we've kind of learnt along the way, and it's something we've got better at as we've practiced it.
But it's definitely a skill, and it's definitely something that isn't easy to begin with, but it does get easier with practice.
And as well as a skill, it's something that you definitely need the willpower to keep persevering with. We've not found it easy. There's things that we have kept looking at and not wanted to let go of, and it's something that comes with time, I think.
One of the concerns that we had when we first looked into minimalism was the feeling that you had to somehow get rid of all your worldly possessions, and that was quite a frightening prospect. But then we just took a standard Jackie and Richard approach of just moderating that.
Yeah, we knew we had to minimalise a lot because we'd moved from a big 3-bedroomed house to a small 1 down 2 up Yorkshire Dales cottage.
So simply trying to sort out our loft was a really good opportunity to practice minimalism. And we'd got 20, 30 years, probably more of our life stuffed in that loft. And actually, when we started going through it, it wasn't that much of a difficult process.
It wasn't just shoved in the loft, it was shoved under our beds, it was shoved in the cupboards. We had a lot of stuff that we needed to declutter out of our lives. And minimalising isn't something that happens overnight. It does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort and thought. We started pretty much as soon as we made the decision to retire and we put the house on the market. We knew we'd have 6 months to start decluttering, and that was only the start of the process.
One of the traps I'm quite happy to admit that I fell into was that minimising is not organising, and simply moving things and putting them in a better order or putting them in a series of boxes where you know stuff is not minimising. And that's one of the things that I had to get my head round. You know, at some point I needed to actually let go of some of these things.
Well, for us, the first stage of minimalisation and decluttering in our lives was actually quite easy. We had sold our house, which was a 3-bedroomed family house in Cheshire, and we had bought a little 2 up, 2 down cottage in the Yorkshire Dales, and it was not going to fit all of that stuff in.
And as well as it being a 3-bed house, it had been the family home for 20 years and it had got 20 years of stuff in the loft. And the loft was probably the starting point when we realised that a move was on the cards. So even prior to putting the house up for sale, we started going through that.
And actually, the first part of that, and we did it almost in stages of decluttering. The first round was literally loads of van trips to the tip, because there was stuff in there that we'd put up over the last 20 years that just needed to go. We had no desire to keep them, we had no joy keeping them. But then it did get quite hard, because there's lots of things like, what do we do with precious handmade toys that Richard's dad had made for the children. We have no need for them now. We have no space to keep them now, but we really didn't want to get rid of them.
We've got albums full of photos, and we've got so many boxes of keepsakes from when the kids were growing up, and all of those associated memories and emotions were tied up with that. And that's when the minimalism got really quite challenging.
The kids' ones weren't actually as hard to sort. I got them round to the house because neither of them lived with us at the time, gave them a couple of plastic boxes each and said you need to shove whatever you want to keep personally in them boxes, and anything else that you don't want is going to the tip. So that wasn't too bad.
And that whole process of boxing things up and preparing for a move was actually really good, because we knew that we were moving out into storage and we knew that we were having limited space. So in the back of our minds, there was always that motive to get rid of stuff when perhaps we felt a little bit uncomfortable about it. But if we had any doubts, they went into a brown cardboard box and went into storage. And that process of evaluating our things has gone on over the course of the last few months and the last year or so.
And at the other end, when we unpacked the loft and brought all the stuff to our new house after we'd renovated it, we went through that process again. We hadn't used any of the stuff or seen any of the stuff for 6 months, and we did actually declutter probably about 20% of the stuff that went into the lockup. Again, some of it was just furniture that we couldn't physically fit in the house. Some of it was things like clothing. We had a really good look at it. We're not going to go back into teaching. We're not going to probably go into a job that we need smart clothes. You've kept one suit and a couple of shirts, and I've kept a dress and a pair of smart shoes. As a family, we have actually always prioritised experiences over possessions. If there was ever a choice of, shall we go on a holiday somewhere or go on a day trip somewhere with the kids, or shall we buy something extra for the house or move to a bigger house, it was an easy option.
So in some respects, that made life a little bit easier, because all we've continued to do in early retirement is really put a value on experiences over stuff. And it means that we naturally buy less stuff, but we actually have more money available and more time available to do stuff.
And actually, we do really think about things that we do buy now, and we probably tend to spend a little bit more on some of our purchases that hopefully are better quality, that will last longer.
And one of the things that we've grown to adopt in early retirement is we always naturally seem to now have a bit of a cooling off period about our purchases. So if we see something that we want, we tend to just give ourselves a little bit of time to dwell on that. And it's amazing how quickly that feeling of buying stuff disappears. Or, you know, if that feeling is still around in a week or 2 weeks' time, then perhaps we go back and revisit it.
Yeah, and when we were working and teaching, we would literally go and buy it, and that was it.
One of the things that we're particularly mindful of when we are thinking about buying things is it a want or is it a need? And quite often we've realised that some of our purchasing impulses are definitely wants and we don't need it. Another thing that we try to adopt is, now that we've minimalised our life and minimalised our possessions, is we don't want to reclutter things. So certainly when we try and buy something, particularly clothing, we're mindful of one thing in, one thing out. So we don't really need any more things. So we've just got to make a decision about whether we are going to replace things.
Richard keeps telling me less is more. That just keeps going round.
It's a great mantra.
So the next big area that we looked at when we were thinking about minimalising and decluttering our lives was to do with our finances. Obviously, we've gone from 2 teaching jobs, which were very well paid, to being early retired, and actually for a little bit of time not having any income at all. So we've had to do quite a bit of decluttering of our finances.
Yeah, we've looked at everything in terms of a budget, and we've made conscious decisions and intentional decisions about what we actually need and what is perhaps a luxury.
I mean, the first big thing that we did, to be fair, was downsizing our house. We had just got to the point where we were mortgage free, so we sold our big 3-bedroom family home and moved to a small 2-bed, 2 up, 2 down cottage, because that's all that we needed. And it did free up some of our finances for us to have a little pocket of money.
And on a really tiny thing, we've just tried to pull our various accounts into one place. So I'm not a massive one for internet and online banking, but having all of our finances in one place just makes it really, really easy for us to manage it, and it's less head clutter to worry about.
Something I've done is go through all of our direct debits, standing orders, and things that go out monthly, and had a really good look at, is it something that we need? We had lots of different TV subscriptions and all sorts of things like that we went through and thought, do we really need them? Will we really use them? And we've actually managed to probably save £300 or £400 a month just getting rid of little things like that were £15 here and £30 there. And then finally, after rationalising all of our finances and to keep ourselves on track, we've set ourselves a monthly budget. Cash is king. We do take out a weekly amount of cash that has to cover our petrol costs, and anything that's left over we have in a little holiday pot.
One of the principles of minimalism is making sure that as many of the things that you have are multifunctional. So, for instance, we designed the house to make sure that down here we have got a multifunctional space where it is open plan and we can do a variety of things in this space. Probably the best example of us having a multi-use space is our van. It provides us with our holidays, it provides us with our transport, it gives us a spare room, it gave us a place to live when the house was a building site. It has really given us ultimate flexibility for what we do in our early retirement.
Our children do laugh because obviously we've got 2 children, so if they ever come to visit, we've got a 2-bedroom cottage with our little ensuite outside.
One of the things about minimalism is it's not just about tangible possessions, things that you can hold and touch. It can be about headspace as well. And we've worked really hard to digitally declutter our lives as well. So that might be as simple as going through our emails and unsubscribing to as many email lists as you possibly can.
Yep, as soon as we finished work, we both went through all of our computer files, and I've just decluttered all of my teaching files. Everything's gone. I've got nothing teaching related at all left on my computer.
It's fair to say, and it'll probably come as no surprise, we have a slightly different approach to filing systems on our computers, but it both works for us, and we've got a relatively simple system for keeping our files so that we don't lose anything. I personally have decluttered my phone, so I haven't got apps on there that I don't use. I try and keep my home screen free. Every time I look at Jackie's phone, it just strikes me with absolute horror as to what hers is like.
I've been really good. He was mortified when he saw that I had something like 5,000 unread email messages. So when we were, I think we were on an aeroplane somewhere, and I had about 4 hours to just sit and delete as many emails as I could. So I've decluttered.
I think it's more the fact that you've got like 5 pages of apps that you scroll through in no apparent order that I can't cope with. But all of that frees up headspace for more important things that we actually want to be getting on with. The final thing that we've done in terms of minimalising our life in early retirement is really just focusing on what's important to us. And I think through a number of our previous videos, we have said that when we were working, we focused on our careers, but now we are focusing on the really important things to us, like our relationships, our health, and learning new things every day.
It has actually taken us a while to get rid of the clutter in our head from our working life. But now that we are at that point in our lives, it's great thinking about the things that are really important to us now. And that's the experiences that we want to have, getting out there and traveling, meeting new people.
And just building memories together. So minimalism has taken various forms, but that is probably the most important one for us. It's given us the time and the space to just focus on things that are important to us both.
And that's us. So, some of our top tips to minimalisation. The first one is, dust is a really good indicator of whether you need something in your life. If it's really dusty and you find it, it's probably an indication that you've not used it for a while and you don't need it.
If in doubt, start now and find something that you want to discard, because action absolutely trumps strategy. So it's probably best to just start getting rid of stuff rather than thinking about getting rid of stuff.
And the best place to start is definitely the loft.
To try and make yourself feel better when you are letting go of things, you're actually just letting go of the physical. You're not letting go of the memories that are attached to that item, and those memories will keep with you forever.
I found it really handy that if I had something in my hand, I thought about the fact that if I lost this, would I replace it? And if the answer is yes, then keep it. And if the answer was not really, then it could go. We are by no means experts in minimalisation and decluttering. And a true minimalist would still look at our house and think, wow, there's a lot of stuff that does not need to be here. But it's just some things and tips about what we did to help declutter our lives.
And in essence, it just worked for us, and it may not work for you, and you may find your own ways and make your own decisions. And as Jackie said, we're not trying to be experts, we're just wanting to share what we've done because we found it really useful. We found a lot more time in our life and a lot more headspace in our life.
And yeah, we do feel like we're living a really clutter-free, for us, minimalistic life that we are absolutely loving.
So that's it. See you later.
Bye.